All right, what's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying your day. Ravens, I want to say this specifically to DaCosta. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. See, this is all we wanted to see. Okay? We understand. All right? We understand free agency is a difficult process. And we as a fan base, we understand that not every player we want you guys to sign is going to be signed by you, okay? This is the business part of the aspect. Sometimes you just don't have the money to be able to pay for these guys there, especially with these receivers out there. We understand that. But you got to understand that we're not asking for you to get all those guys. We just want to see the effort be put in. If you show us the effort and you don't get the guy, hey, it's part of the business, okay? Somebody offered that player a better deal. You couldn't match it. They go there. It's part of the business. But at least show us the effort. Show us that you're putting in the effort to try and add some weapons for Lamar Jackson. Show us that you're trying to build this offense, trying to add pieces to our offense to help out Lamar Jackson. That's all we wanted to see. And I'm glad this came out today. So, the Ravens actually reached out to Kenny Golladay, and I couldn't be happier. Now, for me personally, I'm still of the mindset that the Ravens are most likely not going to be able to pick up a receiver via free agency. If this deal goes down, fantastic. I'll love it. I'll talk about it. But I'll actually be surprised to see that happen. But I'm still of the mindset that they're more likely to get a receiver through either the draft or via trade, which is why this whole Orlando Brown situation with that trading deal pending, I'm thinking they're going to use that specific moment, that Orlando Brown trade, to actually get some picks as well as a receiver, which is why the two names that have come up regarding a trade has been DJ Chark or Allen Robinson, who has signed his franchise tag with the Bears. So, one of those two options. A lot of Ravens flock have been looking at those two guys and saying if a trade was to go down, it would be for one of those two guys. Most people are now leaning towards the Bears and Allen Robinson, but we'll see how that goes. I'm of the mindset if they're going to pick up a receiver, it's going to be via trade or a draft, but at least I would be hopeful via trade, at least for a veteran receiver. Signing one via free agency, I've never been the one to say that. I didn't even think they'd do that this offseason. But one thing I wanted to at least see is the effort being put in. And I'm not saying the Ravens weren't putting in the effort. We don't know what they're doing behind the scenes. But at least it's nice to have that kind of go public. Not all your plans, but at least let us have some level of news that you're interested in the guy or you reached out to a guy. It's different when you're hearing rumors like they're interested in this guy, they're interested in that guy, they're interested in this guy. But it's another thing to hear that your team actually reached out to that player's agent. That means you want to try and bring this guy in. That's showing interest. And that's what Ravens flock wanted to see. Just show us that you're interested in adding a weapon for Lamar Jackson. That's what we wanted to see. So I'm glad we got to see this. Now, in terms of actually signing Kenny Golladay, it's possible for the Ravens to do that. They're going to have to manipulate some stuff and move some things around, but they could definitely afford to sign Kenny Golladay on a possibly a long-term deal, like a multi-year deal. They'll probably have to backload his contract. I don't want to think about what they do, but it's definitely possible. Let's just say that. Right now, in terms of the teams that are interested in getting him, we got us. We've got the Giants, and we've got the Bears. I've also heard some talks about the Bengals. But, right now the three main teams we're hearing about talks regarding to Kenny Golladay is just us who put our names in today, the Giants, who he actually went to their camp, talk to them, and then the Bears as well. So there are teams fighting for him, but at least we know the Ravens are one of the teams interested in trying to get him. So that's definitely the positive part. We just wanted to be able to see that you guys are putting in interest for that. So that's the great part. But yeah, the Ravens definitely have a shot to get Kenny Golladay, and they would be able to sign him. It'll be a little bit difficult, but they could definitely sign him, and they'll have to do some things here and there, but they could most certainly sign him. So we'll see what happens moving forward. We'll see if something comes down there, but I don't know. Like I said, I'm still in the mindset the Ravens will probably get their receiver via trade. If they're getting a better receiver, it would have to be via trade. Now, if they get this deal done, oh my God, if they get this deal done, this will be fantastic. Because coming into free agency, I had two receivers I would love for the Ravens to have. Allen Robinson and Kenny Golladay. The minute Robinson signed that tag, I was like, yeah, we can't sign him. However, that has not died yet because of the Orlando Brown trade. But Kenny Golladay, he's still out there, and I'm hoping the Ravens may be able to come to a. I'm hoping they sign him. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm hoping they sign him. I wouldn't be shocked if they don't sign him. It will be within my expectations. But at the same time, I want them to sign him. And if they could pull it off, I will be elated, man. I'll be so happy if they manage to pull it off, which actually works with what I'm thinking because if you look at it like this, I still believe the Ravens are going to use that Orlando Brown Jr. trade to their advantage. They're going to pick up some draft picks, but they're also going to pick up someone else. It's going to be draft picks and a player, and I'm thinking it's going to be a receiver. I don't know what deals they've been making in terms of negotiations for that, if they've even been talking about that, but I feel that for Orlando Brown Jr., they can get one or two draft picks and the player, and I'm hoping that player will be a receiver. Can you imagine the Ravens signing Kenny Golladay and then getting another receiver in the Orlando Brown Jr. trade? Bruh, that would be fantastic. That would be fantastic. I mean, I'm not going to go off the walls here, but like, if you would have signed Kenny Golladay and somehow trade and get Allen Robinson, then at that point, that's a done deal, man. That's a done deal. There'll be no excuses for this upcoming season. Like, at that point, that's a Super Bowl or bust guaranteed. But we don't know about that. We're just not going to talk about any trades right now. Let's just focus on this whole Kenny Golladay situation. They have a shot to get him. I hope they can get him. I would be shocked if they get him, but I would be so happy, and I want them to get him. But we'll see. In terms of the case the Ravens have, if he comes with us, he has a chance to compete for a championship. Like, going to the Giants and going to the Bears, you're not really going to be competing for a championship. The Giants aren't really in contention for championships right now. Like, if he was to go there, he'd probably definitely get more targets, no question, because that's just when you come into Baltimore, you understand this is a run-first offense. That's the system they run. So the targets you're going to get is going to be extremely limited, and the ball's going to be spread around, especially because the tight ends are going to be utilized more than the receivers. But just having Kenny Golladay there is a reliable receiver for Lamar to use. If Golladay was to go to the Giants, he's going to be more valuable there because he's going to get more targets. He's going to get more looks. But would he be able to compete for a championship? I do not believe so because I don't think the Giants are at that point where they're competing for a championship. Now, I mean, with the moves they're starting to make, potentially they could be in the running to win the NFC East, which honestly anybody could really win the NFC East. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants win the division and all of a sudden in the playoffs next season. So that's definitely possible. As for the Bears, I mean, they could probably still make the playoffs, but I don't see how they're going to win that division over the Packers. But yeah, that would be. Can you imagine Kenny Golladay and Allen Robinson together? That would be a dynamic duo. But at the same time, I don't think that's enough to take them over the top. They would not be able to get past Green Bay. I don't think getting those two together will be enough for them to get past Green Bay and actually win the division over them. But they might make the playoffs. Still, I don't believe they're a Super Bowl contender yet. As for Baltimore, they are still a Super Bowl contender, but the window will start to slowly close if the Ravens can't make the necessary moves. At some point, the guys you got on defense, there are a lot of veterans here. Their contracts are going to last forever, and some of them are starting to get old. As for Lamar, we already know contract negotiations, that's eventually going to come up. He got one last year, Lamar being on a cheap deal, and then I believe his final year, he's going to be making like $25 million that year. So, like, it's about go time. Your Super Bowl window is starting to close in terms of being able to do that while affording everybody and also not having to deal with Lamar Jackson's contract. So this is why we want you guys to make the moves. You can still be a Super Bowl contender after that contract, but we don't know what the team's going to look like because the amount of money you're going to have to pay to Lamar, I don't even want to think about that. But yeah, Kenny, if he goes to the Giants or the Bears, I don't think he's going to be on a Super Bowl contending team. But if he comes to Baltimore, yeah, he's probably not going to get the targets he's looking for, but he's still going to be on a Super Bowl contending team. Then again, I can argue the Ravens aren't really much of a passing team. Obviously, they're a run-first team, but of the targets that are really there, if you end up becoming a reliable target for Lamar Jackson, you're going to be getting a majority of the targets. That's why Andrews has so many targets. He's that reliable number one guy for Lamar. Number two is Hollywood Brown. If Golladay was to come here and become that number one receiver and become that reliable target for Lamar, he's going to be getting the targets he's looking for. It'll be an uneven amount of targets for the other receivers, but trust me, if you were to bring Golladay here and he ended up becoming that number one guy for Lamar, he'd be getting a good chunk of targets. So would Andrews, and then Hollywood would kind of be the one where you see that over the big play over the top that happens occasionally. You wouldn't be seeing him get that many targets. So I still think he can get a fair amount of targets here in Baltimore. Not to mention, we'll see what happens revolving the pass game. They are trying to be more balanced between the run and the passing game because being the 32nd ranked offense wasn't great. So we'll see what happens with that. But, this is me just making speculations. We don't know what's going to happen with the Kenny Golladay deal. For all we know, he ends up signing with the Giants. I don't know. But it's just good to see the Ravens actually showing interest towards trying to get a receiver and being able to reach out to his agent to show interest. That's what I just want to see that. As long as you're showing that you're interested in picking up a weapon for Lamar Jackson and you're actually reaching out to that player's agent, that's all I can ask for. If it doesn't work out, hey, it's part of the business. With that being said, that's all I got. We're going to be tracking this. We'll see where Golladay goes. Hopefully it's to Baltimore because I'll be excited. With that being said, that's all I got, and I'm out of here, man. Peace.